heroes struggling to accomplish our adventure. As human beings, we engage in a series of struggles to develop as individuals and to find our place in society. Beyond that, we long for wisdom. We want to understand the universe and the significance of our role in it. All right, welcome to episode 37 of the, what did you say? The Paddy and The Yank podcast, baby. All right, Paddy, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, Yank. You know why?
Why?
Because it's pouring down rain outside.
Pouring rain.
Pouring rain. Let it rain. There's a lot of songs about rain, isn't there? Why does it always rain on me? Is it because I lied when I was 17? There's a band called Travis from Scotland.
I can't think of any songs about rain.
What? Purple rain, purple rain.
Yeah.
Then you get what else you got? Fleetwood Mac. Sunshine only happens.
You're freaking
when
out
it's
music.
Raining. Yeah, my tripping on mushrooms music. There's a lot of songs about rain. Anybody out there that's listening, send us in a song about rain.
Yeah. What's the Marley quote?
Oh, some people really feel the rain, while other people just get wet. Love that. One of my favorite Bob Marley quotes of all time, actually. But yeah, we had a typhoon here in Taipei.
Well, we're having a typhoon, right?
Yeah, we're in the middle of a typhoon.
Feels a bit more like a monsoon.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it hasn't been as intense up here in Taipei. Like usually, when I first came to Taiwan 6 years ago, we got a typhoon and it was like taking trees down. There was trees on cars. It was real intense wind.
2014, my first year in Taiwan, there was like very intense typhoon, and the next day, trees falling down, power lines, scooters knocked over sideways. Haven't seen one that intense since.
No, there hasn't. That year there was quite a few typhoons actually, but this year I have felt we haven't really got that many typhoons. They said this was a super typhoon.
Doesn't feel very super so far.
Nah, just a lot of rain. So I'm loving it. That's it. I'm loving this rain. All right.
Cool. So that quote that I read beforehand was from a couple mythology scholars. Their names are Ava Theory and Margaret Davini.
Ava Theory?
Ava Theory.
And she's a what?
She's a contemporary mythology scholar.
You can't write that, can you?
And the other girl was Margaret Davini.
She's a theoretical scientist. Her name is Margaret Theory.
Ava Theory.
Ava Theory. Sorry, Ava Theory. Go on.
All right. So the topic today is heroes. And Paddy, did you have a hero growing up?
A hero? Yeah, I had quite a few heroes growing up as a kid. Like this, whatever. I used to like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Sylvester Stallone, like Rocky. These were people I would have considered to be my heroes growing up as a kid. Like, you know, I would like just in awe of these action movie stars as a kid. Other than that, I can't really think. Well, okay, when you say a hero, what does the word hero mean? Define the word hero. Somebody who saves people?
Yeah, would that be your definition of a hero?
Yeah, my definition of a hero is someone who like saves the day. You know, but then as you get older, it's like the definition of a hero could mean like, you know, someone that is just a good person and does good things. They don't have to like save the damn day in a cape and underpants on the outside of their spandex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm guessing hero has changed now because all these superhero movies that are out, but I don't know.
Yeah, the dictionary definition, according to Merriam-Webster, is a person who is admired for great or brave acts of fine qualities.
Okay. Well, Van Damme was always kicking ass and saving poor defenseless women's asses in his movies.
A lot of times pounding those asses, too.
All the damn time.
Every single movie there's a sex scene or two.
Nowhere to run. Yeah, you get some steamy Van Damme sex scenes.
Double impact. Yeah. That was intense,
oh, man.
Fuck. Well, actually, the sex scene was what he was imagining a sex scene, right? That wasn't real.
You know who I enjoyed growing up as a youngster as well was Steven Seagal. But he's absolutely the furthest thing, I think, from a hero you could possibly get.
Over time, everybody's kind of realized he's just a total fake.
A complete tool.
Yeah, complete tool. Another meaning of the word hero is a long sandwich filled with cold meat, cheese, salad, etc.
A hero sandwich? Where does that come from?
I think it's somewhere in Europe. There's a sandwich called a hero. Yeah.
Okay. The hero sandwich.
So the word hero comes from the Greek heros, which literally means protector or defender. Classical hero is considered to be a warrior who lives and dies in the pursuit of honor and asserts their greatness by the brilliancy and efficiency with which they kill.
Like Hercules or
Exactly.
Achilles or something like that.
Exactly. Each classical hero's life focuses on fighting, which occurs in war or during an epic quest. Classical heroes are usually considered semi-divine, extraordinarily gifted, like you just said, Achilles.
And Hercules.
And they evolve as a result of perilous circumstances. Although like in terms of like mythological heroes, they were considered resourceful and skilled. They were also considered foolhardy, like court disaster, or like they were like risk takers.
Yeah,
you know,
brash
kind of
and
rash. Yeah,
brash, bold.
They'd behave arrogantly, like in a childlike manner. That makes me think of Brad Pitt in Troy, right? He's very narcissistic.
He played Achilles in Troy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was like a great warrior, but like a total dick.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he was a total dick in the movie. He was
No?
just no. He
Maybe I
didn't try and
thought he
save
was-
the girl at the end and stuff like that. In Troy, in the movie Troy.
I remember he like.
He wanted to go home and he didn't want to fight, and then his cousin got killed. His cousin dressed up as him and ended up getting killed. Hector killed him. Hector killed Brad Pitt's cousin, and then when Brad Pitt found that out, it was like, right, it's on now, it's war.
Was
And then
Hector played by
Eric Bana.
Okay, I don't
Eric
know why. I was
Bana.
going to say the Joaquin Phoenix.
No, Eric Bana played Hector in Troy, and then there's the famous scene where Brad Pitt rolled up to the gates of Troy, and he's like, Hector! Hector! And he's like shouting it for like 5 minutes. I'm like, fucking hell. Jesus, you give him a second, like, you know what I mean? Hector! And then they had an epic fight, and then Brad Pitt killed Hector, and he dragged him away on the chariot. But Hector's father then went to Brad Pitt's character Achilles and said, "Please, can you let me have my son back and give him give him a proper burial?" And he granted it. So he wasn't just he had morals, I guess.
Yeah, I guess heroes in the beginning were more like immortal, godlike figures.
Weren't they sons of the gods or something?
Something like that. And then over time, like, writers kind of realized that mortal heroes were easier for people to identify with. And so over time, they became less and less divine or half divine or totally mortal people. Because, like, they were realizing that people could identify with that more. And Achilles, I think he was half... Wasn't his mother a goddess or something?
I believe, yes.
But his father was like a man?
Yeah,
I don't really remember. I think he was like half...
I'm not certain, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Perseus as well. That was another one, wasn't he? Like, I think he is as well. His father was like a god, or maybe his father was Zeus or something.
Yeah.
And then maybe the mother was
Hercules,
immortal.
right?
Hercules was... Yeah, I don't think these guys were gods. I think they were son of gods, maybe.
Right.
The Titans, were they Titans?
Maybe. I know Poseidon, Hades, and Zeus were brothers, right?
They're gods.
They're gods.
Yeah,
and they
gods.
And they were brothers as well.
Yeah, they were all gods.
Yeah.
But these other guys, I don't think they were gods. Maybe sons of gods. Sons of gods. Sons of bitches.
That sounds like a band name. Right?
Sons of gods.
Cool. All right, cool. So what we're going to do now is get into the hero's journey. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do know what that is.
What is it?
The hero's journey is... Okay, if you write a screenplay, the hero's journey is starting from wherever, then having an obstacle to overcome, then overcoming that obstacle and saving the day at the end. Is that what the hero's journey is?
I mean, pretty much. Pretty much. There are like 12 phases, 12 steps in the hero's journey. And this was written by Joseph Campbell. And the hero's journey is also called the monomyth. And so I'm going to go through it real quick, and then I'm going to go through it in more detail in a few minutes.
Cool.
So the first step is the hero receives a call to adventure. Step 2, he receives help, like he meets a mentor or someone older.
Yeah.
Step 3, he departs his world and crosses a threshold into a special world or a foreign world. Step 4, he's encountered with a bunch of trials, like he needs to solve a riddle or kill a monster. 5, the hero is forced to approach his biggest fear. 6, crisis, darkest hour, like faces death or maybe perhaps even dies. Which I guess if he dies, he can't really complete the hero's journey, Kenny. 7, the hero claims a treasure, or claims a power, or he gains recognition, something like that.
Yep.
And then 8 is the result, like the monster bows down to him, something like that. 9 is the hero returns to the ordinary world where he started. 10, he starts a new life as a changed person. 11 is resolution, where the tangled plot lines get straightened out. I'm assuming like it kind of comes to peace.
Yep.
And number 12 is he is upgraded to a new level. So, which obviously resolution is pretty essential if you're going to upgrade.
Of course, and all those 12 steps there of the hero's journey make me think of watching movies when I was a kid growing up, like let's even say Lord of the Rings, let's say a movie called Willow, possibly even Gladiator. I don't know. They seem to stick to these rules quite a lot, like what you're saying there, whereas the movies that are now the superhero movies, I don't know if they have any of that.
They do. Like almost too much.
Really?
Almost too, like especially the Marvel movies, like almost to a T.
I guess I don't really watch any
We
of them,
could
so.
take, yeah, you don't really watch them, but
No.
like Spider-Man, to the T. Like they don't make superhero movies without the hero's journey.
Yeah.
Oh, let's think about the Joker for a second.
Yeah.
Does the hero's journey apply to the newest Joker?
Well, the Joker's not a hero.
Right. But
so it
does
would,
this...
so it wouldn't apply.
I'm
The
trying to
hero's
think.
the hero's journey would apply to Batman, his nemesis, but it wouldn't apply to the Joker. He's the anti-hero,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't apply to him. Also, they're making Joker 2, by the way.
Are they
And
really?
Joaquin Phoenix has signed on, and Todd
Whoa.
Phillips, the guy who directed the first one, has also
Okay.
signed on. It's supposed to be out in
Okay.
2024. Fuck
Okay.
yeah, can't wait.
It's got to be good. I hope they don't ruin it. But I don't,
Man.
if they got the same director and the same guy, I don't think they're going to squash it.
And because of how big and successful the first one was, I mean, come on.
I don't think they're going to squash it. Sequels
Get
are a
it.
dangerous thing, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I pray. I don't want them to squash it.
Pray, boy, get down your knees and pray.
Yeah, so I don't know. Is the hero's journey like a real thing that applies to real people, or is it only a thing that applies to like mythological heroes and is used in movies? Like, do you think any of this could apply to you, or
To me, no.
like a
don't
call to
know.
adventure? You ever received a call to adventure?
Like, meaning like I've had to go on an adventure for a specific reason, other than to just satisfy my desire to go on an adventure.
Right. There's two different ways you can go on an adventure. One, like
Yeah.
you feel a spiritual calling, or two, you're like, I want to travel.
Nah, mainly it's like I seen Machu Picchu on a documentary as a kid, and it's like I want to go there. It's like I seen this on a documentary as a young fella. I want to
Yeah.
go there. That's it.
Actually, I can tell you this, and I don't know if it's because I was preparing this podcast. I have this broken Kama Sutra poster that's
Yeah.
made out of banana leaves, dried banana leaves, and it's really, really cool. I've had it
Okay.
forever, and the other day it broke. I bought it in India, and it's meant a lot to me. It was the coolest thing I brought back
Yeah.
from India. It broke. Later that day, I came to my office, and there was a coin from India on the table.
Yeah.
And then my buddy from India called me. And then 2 days after that, one of my random friends I made in India like 3 years ago called me. And I was like, dude, India is calling me back. And I really, like, I thought that like 100%. I was like, I have to go back to India.
A lot
I
of
don't even have a
signs
choice
there,
in
huh?
this. Yeah, I feel like sign after sign, like, or coincidence after coincidence after coincidence, and all in like a 72-hour window.
That's crazy. So
And-
do you think that it's calling you back there to be a hero somehow?
A hero to myself, maybe.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, India is the country that changed me more so than any other country I've ever been to. Philippines was just like a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam was a total fucking nightmare. Thailand is like, I need to get in and out as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And
But India-
Cambodia, I did learn and grow a lot in Cambodia for sure because I had the job there.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the killing fields and I saw a lot at the orphanages. But India was almost like I left a piece of my heart there. And like I really grew a lot because the people were so friendly, and I also traveled a lot when I was in India, and I do feel like it helped me grow spiritually in a way I can't really articulate, but it does feel like it tainted or scarred my heart, or I left a piece of my heart there or
Okay.
something.
Left a mark on you.
Left a mark
For
on
sure.
me for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if this really applies to real people. Call to adventure, a mentor or assistance. I mean, we all find mentors in life, right?
Maybe it doesn't apply to people so much in today's day and age, but let's say go back a couple of 100 years ago when people were like discovering new worlds, like, you know, like the Arctic exploration, you know, a call to adventure. We're going to map out the Antarctic. We're going to
right.
And then like what do we talk? We talked about Shackleton and Tom Crean. Do you remember like his call to adventure was to map out this certain area of the world, and then the ship sank, and then Tom Crean ended up going on this crazy journey and ended up rescuing this fucking guy and coming back and saving everyone. So that
kind of sounds like the hero's journey.
It sounds like the hero's journey. Sounds like Tom Crean. Good old Irish Tom Crean from... Was he from Kerry or Cork? I don't remember.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I forget.
I would say that this does apply to Christopher Columbus.
I'm going to let that silence... I'm going to let that dead silence hang in the air. Okay, the only thing that apply... Yeah, journey. He went on a journey. That's about it. I don't see any heroic shit in...
The call to adventure. To capture slaves.
Yeah, you know? It's like I'm reading... I started listening to the audiobook again recently of... what's his name? Robinson Crusoe. Who I read as a kid. He wanted adventure. He wanted to seek adventure. He could have had a stable life wherever he grew up, somewhere in England, and instead he wanted to go to sea, and his father had forbid him and his mother and said, no, if you go to sea, you'll have a terrible life. And long story short, he ends up getting stranded on this deserted island. You could say like Castaways, like would obviously have taken from this book, and but he was going to buy slaves when his ship sank. So fuck him. You know what I mean? It's like Robinson Crusoe.
Okay.
He was going to buy slaves, African slaves, for the slave market when his ship sank. So, you know what I mean? The book is epic and it's like his survival on the island, but it's like, yeah, good enough for you. You know what I mean? Fucking good enough for you.
Yeah.
You know, so...
I just started reading a book called The Dream of the Celt, and it's actually an Irish book about this dude in the early 1900s that was inspired by these previous explorers, but what they did was go to Africa and try to Christianize the indigenous people. And I'm really hoping this is not actually a belief in the book, and he kind of goes on the hero's journey and realizes that's wrong, and by the end of the book, he comes to the conclusion that that is not what we should have been doing. The indigenous people can actually teach us how to be more human.
All right.
Because back in the 1900s, that is how Aboriginal and indigenous people were perceived, right? They're cannibals, they're wild, they're animals, they need to be tamed, they need to be domesticated.
Even the Irish were seen as that by the British hundreds of years ago. We were seen as bog trotters and as wild men, not to be trusted, extremely violent and
That's still
volatile.
how I see the
Irish. Some of them, yeah, I guess, but that's how we were looked at by the Brits back then, so... Yeah, and even worse in Australia. Oh my God. What they done to the Aboriginal people in Australia. They didn't even consider them to be human. They considered them to be plant life, fauna.
Yeah.
They considered them to be fauna.
That's crazy.
Up until the 60s.
So it is interesting, though. The first step is the call to adventure, where the hero is forced to leave his comfort zone. And I think that is the only way to experience any sort of rewarding change or growth in life, is by leaving your comfort zone. I don't know. Can you really grow and develop as a human being if you stay in your comfort zone?
You'll grow and develop to be a very certain type of human being, and a very specific...
I feel like a limited human being.
Yes. The same as every other human being that's in your little village that has never stepped outside the Shire.
I think we talked about that with Damalari, how people live in bubbles, and our purpose here is to expand people's worldviews.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know, not everybody can travel.
No, of course not. And again, it's like, if you want to live in the town you grew up in your whole life and all that kind of stuff, cool, good for you. And bigger cities, it might be a bit different. But if you grew up in a small, little, tiny town, speck of a town, with less than 1,000 people, where I grew up in the west of Ireland, it's like, if you only ever stay in that small town, and that's your entire existence, I can't fathom that. They are a very particular type of people, and they cannot see what they're like until they've looked at it from the outside. They can't.
You don't. Yeah, there's so many aspects of yourself you will never get to know unless you're put in an extremely uncomfortable situation. Yeah. Like when I was in India on an 8-hour bus into the Himalayan mountains that broke down with no AC, and I'm squashed in between 4 Indians, and it was a terrible experience. And I'm sitting there like, what do I got? Do I need to like get off this bus and go push? Do I need to help? Like, how do we get this thing moving? Yeah. You know? And then it finally gets moving, and then we get to this village, and there's no bathroom. I've said this before, and I really got to use the bathroom, but there are no bathrooms. But like in situations like that, you get real humble, and you learn a lot about yourself.
And these are the things, like these travel tales. Like one time, long story short, I was in Peru. I went to the desert in Peru. I got on this bus at 2:45 a.m. in the morning, and I went all the way south to a place called Paracas, I think it was called, or Ica in Peru. And we drove through a town, and it was like just demolished. And I was like, Jesus, they don't even have any roads here. It's demolished. People are still living here like normal. I found out that an earthquake had hit the place years ago and destroyed it, and the government done nothing, so they just let everybody just keep living there. But anyways, long story short, coming back on this bus, it was like there was no white people. I seen one white person the whole day. Everybody was like Peruvian or Colombian or whatever like that. And coming back on the bus, it was the middle of the night, and they had a portable TV. You remember them 14-inch like portable TVs? They had it duct taped to like a chair at the front of the bus, and it's like I was sitting right in front of it, and it's like the Karate Kid came on, the new Karate Kid with Jackie Chan had came on, and it was all in Spanish, and I was just sitting there, and I was wrecked from the day. I was in the desert sandboarding and dune buggying and doing all kinds of shit, and I just put my foot up on this thing. And next minute, I just heard a whole load of chaos behind me, like, and everyone shouting, and I was like, well, what the fuck? I turned around, and literally everybody on the bus was watching this movie. Like, all the families, it was like, like a big trip for them, like a big adventure, and they're all, like, all these heads and eyes are just out of the seats, just staring at the screen, watching the Karate Kid. I was like, this is hilarious. Like, where would I experience that again? So, that's something that stuck with me for forever, I guess.
Yeah. Discomfort's really important. I think when I read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, that was the book that really taught me that the discomfort, the things that make you uncomfortable and the things that you're scared of are the most important things we need to approach and embrace, But
in today's world, we try our hardest to get away from that. That's why people
to
work
stay comfortable,
hard.
You mean?
People now strive for comfort.
Yeah.
Strive for how can I make my life as comfortable as possible, which I don't have any problem
Everything
with.
in moderation is great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like my comfort too. Just as much as I like sitting in a bathtub of ice for 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I like the movie theater as much as I like a headstand or whatever it is that I'm doing.
Yin and yang.
But yeah, we got to approach the things that make us uncomfortable and scared. So Joseph Campbell wrote this hero's journey, and I got a pretty cool quote from him that says, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." And I think that's true. When we approach the things we scare, like sparring or boxing, if I'm scared,
cold
showers, cold baths, rock climbing, which I still have not gone back to because it scared me that bad, and I really need to get in there and do that.
Talking to a girl you like.
That's huge, man, and that's that can be a lifelong journey, learning how to talk to women.
There you go, starting a new hobby that you've always been interested in, but you're scared to put yourself out there, like joining a new club, like going to a new club and going in there and thinking, oh, I'm walking in this door by myself, and there's already people in this club that have been here a while. They know each other, and they're all going to look at me and think, oh, who's this new guy? And that's a lot of that's
uncomfortable and scary. And also stopping a healthy habit, right? If you stop going to the gym for 3 months and you're like, oh God, I don't want to go back there and put myself through this pain. You
even stop the gym for a week or 2 weeks. It gets very easy to
the 2 weeks when I recently I thought I broke my ribs, but it was just bruising. I didn't exercise for like 2 weeks, and like I remember the first time back, I was kind of like dreading it a little bit. But then after like 2 days, 2 sessions, I had the bug again. I was like, how could I live without this, man?
That's it. If I had to take a few days off, Rant, it's like I might start to get that whole sure, fuck it. But then I'll always be like, nah, I'm going. And then as soon as I get in there, I'm like, yeah, what the hell? You know what I mean? This is part of who I am.
Okay, cool. So actually, I'm still going to go into this a little bit more in detail because I got a couple juicy things.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. And so Campbell believed that because these hero myths, Gilgamesh, Achilles, all these, because these came from the human mind, obviously, the human psyche, he believed they were universal to all humans, because a long time ago, right, we didn't have the internet, obviously.
Yep.
And in all these separate continents and these separate countries, people were creating stories that all sort of included the hero's journey, but these people did not communicate with each other. So he believed that it's a universal concept in the human psyche. Which is pretty interesting, right?
Yeah, that is.
I mean, how could people in separate continents come up with things with a similar structure?
Well, speaking of structures, it's like there's pyramids in South America, and there's pyramids in Europe and Africa, like certain. Like, when I say pyramids, I don't exactly mean shaped like the pyramids in Egypt, but they come into it too, and
Like
they're
Machu
all.
Picchu.
Machu Picchu was not. That was like a village built in, or a kingdom built in the mountains in the Andes. But like, there's, let's say, there's a couple of temples in Mexico and different places like that, and they all are lined up to face the galaxies of the solar system in a certain way. But in each different country, they're all laid out the same way. I don't really know the science, but they're all. Scientists were like, how the fuck did these guys in Africa and these guys in South America and these guys in Europe, how did they all build structures very similar that were based on the stars that were pointing in certain directions, when none of them communicated?
The stars could explain it. Because back in the day, like, that was the one commonality among everything, right?
How did they all get the technology at the same time to do this?
Yeah.
Before that, it's like there was this. Now there's like, what? All these countries are building these crazy structures around the same time.
I think books like Guns, Germs, and Steel and Sapiens really go into that. Both of which I have not finished.
I haven't finished Sapiens yet, but I wanna.
God. Have you read Guns, Germs, and Steel?
Not even a page.
I've read like a third of it.
Yeah.
It's a huge book, man. It's a huge book. It would be great podcast material.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so part one, as we already said, the hero separates from the world. His world receives a call for destiny, and he always refuses it initially. And you don't watch superhero movies, but yeah, like in the Spider-Man movies, he kind of refuses it initially and then eventually accepts and gives in. And in the first new Spider-Man, he receives help from a guide, right? Mm-hmm. Who was Spider-Man's help? Guide or mentor? It was Iron Man, right? I know you don't know that.
Fuck all that.
I know you hate all that stuff.
Iron Man. And
Part 2 is the trials and the victories of initiation. Hercules had 12 trials. For Campbell, this part, the trials part, represents psychological danger. You know, a long time ago, this was like dragons, or in like ancient stories, I think psychological, that'd be more like physical danger, right? But danger of some sort. Oh, and this is pretty common, that they would meet a goddess or a beautiful woman and have sex. Or the hero would refuse the sex, and then the woman would be cast as like an adversary, like a bad person. Yeah. And they would usually, these heroes always confront a monster or something like that. And the monster is compared to a father-type figure that the hero must conquer. And by conquering this father-like figure, it gives the hero the ability to conquer his fears and like come full circle with resolution with himself. Oh yeah, it's called, so when he confronts the father figure, achieves enlightenment, which is called apotheosis, which is when a human becomes a god. That's kind of it. I just thought it was cool that there was like some psychological interpretations of the hero's journey.
Well, when I think of the hero's journey, one of the first things that comes to my mind is Frodo from Lord of the Rings.
Okay. I don't remember it super clearly.
He gets, the Gandalf, the wizard, comes along and he says, you need to leave the Shire, whatever the story is, and he has to leave his home for the first time, his small village of the Shire. And his friend Samwise Gamgee, you all right, Mr. Frodo? Yeah, I'm right here with you, Mr. Frodo. Don't you worry about a thing. Samwise is here with you. And he's like, at one moment they stop and they go, this is the furthest we've ever been. Once I take one more step, this is the furthest we've been from home.
Oh, he's crossing the threshold into the unknown world.
They do that very obviously in the movie. In the movie, I never read the books, but in the movie, they stop and they say that this is the furthest we've ever been from the Shire. And then they literally just jump over this little spot and they go. And then he's left with the decision to take the ring and bring it to Mordor or wherever it is again.
The object, like they find a thing.
The thing, yeah, and he has to find the strength in himself and So that when I think of the hero's journey, I do think of Frodo from Lord of the Rings.
Did he have a guide or a mentor? Was that Gandalf?
Gandalf, and then some of the people that joined his crew. Like there was a group of them that.
And who was there a monster that he fought as well?
Oh, he fought all kinds of stuff. There was
Many
like
monsters.
A spider in the cave. I haven't watched Lord of the Rings in years, man, but they were great movies.
I read The Hobbit in high school, and I remember loving it. But I haven't gone back to it again.
But that's what I think. I think of the hero's journey. I think of probably that.
And generally, when we think of heroes, I think we think of men, and classically, they were always portrayed as men. Yeah. Cool. So most classical hero stories are all about men, and I found one about women to counter that.
Harriet Tubman. There you go. Say no more.
All right. This is an ancient Aboriginal myth, and from Australia. And it's about some Aboriginal girls.
Okay.
That's actually pretty cool. It's called the Seven Sisters. Yeah. Okay. So there's these 7 girls and their sisters, and they reach adolescence, and they want to shed their childhood by gaining control over hunger, fear, and pain. I don't know where they got that. I think elders told them. They said if you want to gain control over your life and you want to leave adolescence, you want to become an adult, there are 3 things you must conquer. They are hunger, fear, and pain. But the elders warn them these trials are going to be very, very severe. But the girls are like, we don't care. We want to become adults.
Yep.
So the elders put them through these like trials and tribulations. So the first one is hunger. This is what the elders force the girls to do to conquer hunger. So for hunger, the girls have to spend 3 years isolated from the brothers and their sisters, totally alone in solitude. Every day they're provided with 2 small meals, one at sunset, one at sunrise. Then, after that, the elders take them on a week-long journey through wilderness. The girls still don't give up. They keep moving. After that week, the elders tell them to keep walking for another 3 days with absolutely no food. And then on the 3rd day, the elders produce a roasted kangaroo and a flint knife. They tell the girls, cut off whatever they want, whatever they need.
Yeah.
But each girl only takes exactly the same portion as the small meals they received over the past 3 years in the desert. This made the elders happy because the girls didn't get greedy and they didn't overeat. So, boom, they conquered hunger. The elders were happy.
Okay.
They're like, all right, next trial, pain. For pain, the elders break out each girl's front teeth. The girls don't react. They don't give up.
Like they knocked them out like a fucking left hook or what?
I'm assuming it's like I have like a bat.
What?
They knock out each of the girls' front teeth, and the girls stand strong. They do not give up. They do not walk away. So the elders decide to inflict more pain. They cut each girl's breasts with a flint knife. The girls still don't give up or walk away. So the elders rub wood ashes into the wounds, and the ladies still hold strong. Then the elders pierce the girls' septums and force them to sleep on an anthill. The girls still do not walk away. Thus, pain is conquered.
I don't think there's ever been anything I've wanted in life that I would go through that much suffering to get.
Absolutely not.
like not even close. It's like, what? like, yeah, I'm fine not being an adult there. I'm grand. Thanks. Cheers. Okay, I guess, hey, I'm cut from a different cloth. Ain't no hero me.
Yeah.
Go on.
All right, third phase is fear. This is kind of funny. Elders tell the girls a series of horrible stories, spirits, ghosts, and they stay at a campsite, which is a burial ground. Or they stay at a campsite and tell them it's a burial ground.
Yeah.
And then the girls try to go to sleep. So the elders run around making scary sounds. The girls don't get scared. They don't show fear. The elders declare the girls have conquered fear. That's it for fear. Like, before that, they're crushing their teeth, cutting their breasts, rubbing. And then for fear, all they do is tell them some scary stories around a fire. And then when the girls try to sleep, they're like running around the woods making scary sounds. That's all they had to do for fear. But they had to do like a 3-year solitude trip in the desert to conquer hunger.
Holy hell.
You know, then they had to get their teeth broke out, their breasts cut. And then for fear, just let's do some ghost stories.
Like how did these elders conjure up these things? They sat down in a meeting going, all right, elders, okay, all right, so we're going to put these girls through some tests, trials and tribulations, brainstorm here, throw some stuff at me. Why don't we cut their breasts with a knife and then, stick some salt in there? Yeah, it's a good idea, John. I like your thinking. Okay, well, I was kind of thinking maybe like we get them to sleep on an anthill. I'm not so sure. Like, Michael, we're glad you've given us a contribution today. You've been quiet all week. That's a very good idea. And he's like, you really think so? Yeah, that's a great idea, Michael. Thank you for that one. And they're sitting around, because that's what they had to do. They had to come up with these ideas.
Yeah.
Let's make them walk for 3 years without any... Yes, that's a good idea too,
I
John.
like where your head's at. Where your head's at.
How did they come up with this shit?
I don't know.
You know?
They should have put honey on the girls before they laid on the anthill, right?
Oh, like medieval times.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So, this is what the girls say. Once they've conquered hunger, pain, and fear, they say, we have passed through the testing that our elders prescribed, and we have endured much pain. Now it is the desire of the Great Spirit that you, all the other children in the village, should also go through the same course of testing. Happiness comes through thinking of others and forgetting the self. It is necessary to vanquish the self. This is what the girls say to like all the other children. Will you not go and do as we have done? And then the Great Spirit is observing and is so pleased that he takes them into the heavens without death, where they become a symbol to the people, and the 7 sisters become Pleiades. You know Pleiades?
No. I was just thinking there of the situation where they come and tell everybody in the village that they have to do that too. I would have been like, all right, which one of us is going to sneak up behind this bitch and cut her throat? Yeah, you know what I mean? Who's with me? Like, hey, I ain't doing this. I'm happy out here.
Yeah, so these girls, these 7 sisters, are so famous. There's actually a star cluster and named after them called Pleiades.
Huh.
But I think I'm saying it wrong, and so I got something. Check this out. This is the American pronunciation.
Pleiades.
This is the British pronunciation.
Pleiades.
Pleiades. Pleiades? Pleiades.
And this is an Aboriginal tribe from Australia.
This is the name of the constellation
That's named.
that came from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the people we're talking about, they were an Aboriginal tribe from Australia, yeah?
Correct.
Oh.
So the Pleiades is a group of more than 800 stars located like 410 light years from Earth in the constellation Taurus. So it's not actually a constellation, it's a star cluster, which means these stars were all born at the same time. It looks something like the Big Dipper, but it's smaller and hazier. Like I just said. So Pleiades is actually derived from a Greek legend, and it's also about 7 daughters that are the daughters of the Titan god Atlas and the ocean nymph Pleione. During an ancient war, Atlas rebelled against Zeus, the king of the gods, who sentenced his foe to forever hold up the heavens on his shoulders. The sisters were so sad that Zeus allowed them a place in the sky in order to be close to their father. So that's kind of the Greek story behind the 7 sisters, or Pleiades, or Pleiades.
Damn, we're great storytellers, us humans, huh? We are amazing.
Yeah,
It always blows my mind. Our imaginations and our storytelling abilities it's the best, you know?
Cool. And as the topic has been heroes today, I have a couple things I want to end with that I really like. So I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Have you read that book?
No.
Fucking excellent book. A lot of it's about money investment, but there are a lot of really, really good life lessons. And he has a chapter about heroes and emulation.
Okay.
So, this is what he says. As a young child, when I stepped up to the plate or played in the field, it wasn't me. Rather, I pretended I was my heroes. As adults, we often lose the ability to pretend, even to dream. But the truth is that emulating our heroes is one of the best ways we learn. As adults, we lose our heroes, and that's to our disadvantage. Today, I watch young kids playing basketball by my house. On the court, they're not little Johnny. That's funny. We were saying Johnny. They're pretending to be someone else, someone better than they are. Yeah. They understand what most of us forget. Copying and emulating our heroes is one of the best ways to learn. Now that I'm older, I have new heroes. I read everything I can about them, and by them. I want to emulate how they invest and how they negotiate deals, because he's like a finance guy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Cool. But,
that's what I think about that. Yeah.
Well, you know, like, it is true that as children we always have heroes, but as adults we do not.
Because ego takes over.
Right.
Ego takes over as you get older, and you don't necessarily want to look up to people or want to consider people as being your hero.
Do you have is there anybody today that you would consider a hero to you?
A hero to me? I mean, I would look at people around the world that have done brave acts and done, you know, if you read about people that have done certain things, I would think, fuck, that person's a hero. Like, let's say if somebody went in, I'm just using the Twin Towers as an example, it's the first thing that comes to my head. But those
do you think the Taliban were heroes?
Of course. God damn it, yeah. Where did you think I was going with this? Do you think I was going to say that the firefighters that went in there and saved people's lives were the heroes? Of course not. Those guys that flew that plane into that building, god damn.
And George Bush. George Bitch.
George Bitch. George Bush. No, but like I would think, like, okay, the firefighters that put their lives on the line and risk their lives.
Yeah.
You know, the people, they I would consider them to be heroes. Like you said, somebody that commits a brave act, a selfless brave act in order to help somebody else or something else, you know? It doesn't have to be another human. You could save an animal's life. You could, you know what I mean? Be a hero by saving an animal. You know, not just humans. I would consider, people like that here. For me, hero, I don't know. I don't really have any heroes. I don't look at people as heroes, no. No. I don't look at myself as a hero. I don't look at other people as heroes, no. Unless it's said again, they've done something like that. Then I say, I would
but you can still emulate people, right? Without them necessarily being heroes, or like look up to people, or
of course,
admire people for having great
admire and all that stuff, of course, but to look at somebody as a hero is a word I've never used to describe anybody, really. You know, even those people that saved people's lives in the Twin Towers, I wouldn't even have used the word hero. I'd be like, oh man, that was brave. Like, you know, he's a sound fella. Him, they're sound.
All right, we're gonna end this podcast on a quote. Okay,
go.
Matthew McConaughey. When I was 15 years old, I had a very important person in my life come to me and say, "Who's your hero?" And I said, "I don't know. I got to think about that. Give me a couple weeks." I come back 2 weeks later. This person comes up and says, "Who's your hero?" I said, "I thought about it. You know who it is? It's me in 10 years. So I turned 25. 10 years later, the same person comes to me and says, "So, are you a hero?" And I was like, "Not even close. No, no, no." She said, "Why?" I said, "Because my hero's me at 35. So you see, every day, every week, every month, and every year of my life, my hero's always 10 years away. I'm never going to be my hero. I'm not going to attain that. I know I'm not, and that's just fine with me, because that keeps me with somebody to keep on chasing."
It's a great quote.
It's from his book, Green Lights.
Yeah, I remember. Good old Matthew McConaughey.
Dope. Well, on that note, we're out of here.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Follow us on Instagram. Listen to the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. If you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would help us a lot, because we're really going to try and grow this YouTube channel. And today, unfortunately, we're not going to have any music for the end of the podcast today, but next week we do have some music. We have a singer-songwriter from London. So thanks again for listening. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Any feedback is much appreciated.
Later.
Peace.